Hey y'all, today's video is an open letter to the leaders in Massachusetts, specifically our Governor Maura Healey, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey, and my Congressman Richard Neal here in Western Massachusetts. An open letter about EV infrastructure. What a surprise, I'm talking about EV infrastructure. So let's get into it. Hey y'all, once again you join me in my home office slash man cave, and while normally I make these videos for anyone who wants to watch them, this video in particular is aimed at 4 specific individuals, namely Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey, and my congressional representative in Western Mass, Richie Neal. And this video is, of course, about charging infrastructure in Massachusetts, which is terrible. I talk about this all the time. It's kind of the biggest bugaboo that I have, that we just need to do more. Massachusetts has basically followed California's lead to basically ban the sale of gas-powered cars by 2035, which is great. I support that. However, I think sometimes people feel like 2035 sounds like so far away, it's so far in the future. Well, as of today, when I'm recording this, it's December 5th, 2023. So we're only about 11 years and 3 weeks away from 2035. It's not that far off. And in Massachusetts, we are falling way short of where we need to be to reach that goal of, only electric vehicles being sold in Massachusetts in 2035. That doesn't mean that there won't be any gas cars left in Massachusetts in 2035, of course. But in order to reach that goal, we've got to make it possible and usable for people to drive EVs. Right now, at the end of 2023, there's roughly 100,000 electric vehicles on the road in Massachusetts, give or take. We're way short of reaching the goal of 200,000 by 2025. At the rate we're going in Massachusetts, we will not get there. We will be short. And if you look forward just 5-6 years out to the end of this decade, we really need to really step it up, because Massachusetts has roughly 5 million vehicles on the road. We have a population of just a hair shy of 7 million. 5 million vehicles on the road, and only 1%, or slightly a hair above 1%, are EVs in Massachusetts, which is a very progressive state. And our governor, senators, my congressman, you guys, you're always very open and very supportive of climate change legislation and doing all we can to preserve the environment. I want to see more, though. Just talking about climate change doesn't do anything. The Infrastructure Act was good. The NEVI grants are good, but we need to start seeing some fruits of all of that. The NEVI money is great, but we're not seeing a lot of chargers going in the ground. And the ones that are mostly car dealerships where they're putting in maybe 2 plugs. That's great. I'm glad they're doing it. But we're not seeing the charging infrastructure that we need to see. And not only the charging infrastructure that we need to see, but reliable, well-maintained public charging outside of Tesla. And when Tesla opens up their network to non-Tesla cars next year in 2024, that's going to open up some more infrastructure. And that's great, but it's not all Tesla chargers. And just today, Axios Boston, Steph Solis, she put out this article, Electric Vehicle Miles Traveled in Massachusetts. Barnstable, Middlesex County, which includes Boston, no surprise, has the highest amount of miles traveled per day by EVs. So per 1,000 residents, that is 331 miles per 1,000 residents on an average weekday. That's a lot of miles. Barnstable County, which is Cape Cod, has the third highest number of miles driven by EVs on a weekday at 316 miles per 1,000 residents, with 227,000 residents in Barnstable County. Yet there's almost no EV fast charging in Barnstable County. There is one EV-Go station in Hyannis. There is one Electrify America station in Hyannis with only 4 ports. That station's pretty good. I was just there. If you saw my road trip video from this past weekend, all 4 were working, but each time that I was there, cars were waiting. 4 is not enough. Tesla only has 4 supercharger locations on Cape Cod. Only one is a V3 that will be available to non-Tesla cars come next year. So of the 4 charging stations they have, only one will be available to non-Teslas. And while we want more and more electric vehicles, we have to realize they're not all going to be Tesla. Yes, Tesla is the market leader. They probably will be forever, but there's always going to be more. There's always going to be others. We need more charging infrastructure. And just relying on Tesla is not enough. They're a private company. They've done a great job. The reason that Tesla has been so successful with EVs is why? Because they built their charging network in advance of the cars. Because they knew that the only way people would buy the cars is if they knew they could charge them, and they could charge them quick when they wanted to go on a road trip. Lots of people charge at home. I charge at home most of the time. That works for me. That will work for most people until they need to go on a road trip. When I go to Cape Cod, I have to stop at Electrify America stations or EV-Go stations or charge point stations. And EV-Go is incredibly unreliable in Massachusetts. Electrify America, very unreliable in Massachusetts. Most charge point sites are very reliable. They have a good system. Oftentimes the CPO is a car dealership or a business, and they pay charge point to maintain the chargers. Not enough of those though. Not enough. There's still just not enough. So while I applaud all 4 of your support for, fighting climate change and doing all that we can, we need to see more. I'd like to see more than just talk. Legislation would be great. Pushing these companies to put more chargers in the ground, making sure that when grant money is given out for charging stations, that they actually go on the ground. And none of this, oh, well, yes, the charger had to be in the ground by February of 2024, but no buts. If they don't do it, take the money back. Find people that will do it. And I'd really like to see much more full-throated support and pressure to improve our charging infrastructure in Massachusetts. If it's a serious goal by 2035 to only allow the sales of electric vehicles in Massachusetts, it has to be done. People will not buy electric vehicles unless it's easy to charge them. And a lot of people are probably not always just going to want to charge at home. Most people have the mindset that you go to the gas station, right? You need gas, you pull into the gas station, you put the nozzle in, and a few minutes later you're off and running, right? It is a little bit different with EVs. And people in EV community that were kind of early adopters that are coming into it, they've always taken the approach that yes, it's a little different and we'll do it different, and we get it. But mass adoption is going to mean seamless ease of charging. If it's a hassle every time you go to a charger to have to download an app, or the credit card reader doesn't work, or the charger isn't even online, people are just going to go, forget it. I don't want an EV. Even if they do, care about climate change and they want to stop using fossil fuels, They still need to get to work every day. They still need to get to the grocery store. Maybe they still need to go to grandma's house on Thanksgiving, and it's, they live near Boston and they got to drive to Pittsfield to get to grandma's house, or vice versa. Or for me, selfishly, I live in Western Mass. My parents live on Cape Cod. I want to know that I can drive from my home to Cape Cod and anywhere along the line where I decide that I want to stop and charge up, that I can. And it's not going to be a hassle. I'm not going to have to wait. I'm not going to have to worry about chargers not being online. We just need more. If you just look at the Charge Hub map of Massachusetts, there's lots of dots on there, right? Lots of dots. Most of them are Tesla. But points on a map, pins on a map, don't really mean much, because a lot of those pins, again, are like car dealerships with one or maybe two plugs. So a pin on a map somewhere doesn't mean much. If we put up a map with all the gas stations in Massachusetts, you wouldn't see anything but gas station pins. And that's kind of my point. We really need to build up the infrastructure, and we need to do it now. Like 2024, 2025, we've got to build it up. The NEVI funding, when I read through all this, the number of ports that are going to be built in 2024 and 2025 is pitifully small. And the idea that you just put them every 50 miles, 50-mile gaps, that's still not enough. That might be enough for people passing through, but for the entire population, if we want to get to the point by, let's say, 2045, where gas cars are basically off the road and it's almost all electric vehicles. I mean, today we have about 5 million vehicles in Massachusetts, registered light-duty vehicles. In 2045, what's that number going to be? 7 million? 8? Having a couple of thousand plugs is not going to be enough. We're going to need tens of thousands of plugs to support DC fast charging plugs to support that. We also need a lot more level 2. Why I'm not seeing more level 2 charging in malls, restaurants, places where you might go and you're going to be there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. We need more level 2 charging also. We just need more charge. It needs to be ubiquitous. It needs to be so easy, it's ridiculous. It needs to be so easy that it would be stupid to not buy an electric car. Because electric cars are superior to ICE vehicles in every way, except when it comes to needing to charge them up on the road quickly. And that's only because we don't have enough charging. So Governor, Senators, Congressman Neal, I'm asking for you guys to really, really put your weight and the power of your offices to work for all of us EV drivers and future EV drivers, for the climate, for the world, to make Massachusetts a model like California for EV driving. I mean, it's kind of sad that a state like Massachusetts, very progressive, that we're behind Texas and Florida. Like Florida and Texas are beating us in percentage of electric vehicles by population. They're kicking our butts. 2 of the reddest states there are. We need to be more like California when it comes to electric cars. Not in everything, but with electric cars. We really need to follow California's model. We can do it. It's kind of in our DNA here. I mean, Massachusetts has always been known for a bunch of people that will roll up their sleeves and get the work done. So again, I ask you, let's get this done and make Massachusetts the envy of the world. We should be the Norway of the United States, so that we can reach that goal by 2035, so we can get more EVs on the road, we can get more people to adopt EVs and to love them, and it will be, and make it a ubiquitous, seamless process that makes it ridiculous not to have an electric car. It would take away all the excuses. We fix the charging infrastructure, there's no excuse to not have an electric car anymore, because the price points are coming down. There's more and more models coming on the market. We can do this, but we need you, our leaders, to really push for it and to help make it happen. I know that you will. At least I'm going to put my faith in you, our elected leaders, to get this done for us. And again, not just for us, but for the whole world. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for paying attention. And to everybody who might see this video, remember, EVs are awesome, and it is okay to be awesome. Bye.